It's the Rooster Crow podcast, and I have a very, very special guest today. I want to welcome Greg Vaughn to my podcast, who's been a great friend of mine, and we've had lots of laughs. And he's here today. And I think, Vonnie, before we get started, I want to bring up something that hit all of us really hard the past week. And that's the passing of a great person, great player, and that's Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, hey Rooster. Hey man, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been kind of tough, man, because before that we had Murray Redmond, who me and you, he's very close to both of us.
Right.
He played a significant role in my career also. After the first 8 years when I got traded to San Diego, but Ricky, man, that hurt because being a Northern California kid, you
Exactly.
grow up watching him, wanting to be him, and then all of a sudden he becomes one of your good friends. And playing against him, he always took care of me, as far as like after the game or whatever. Let's go eat. Uh, Playing with him, it just went to a different level, as far as, I think the misconception of people have of Ricky, you know, we see a lot of people that pass, and not just in life, but in sports. But if you look just at the effects of social media, the effect Ricky Henderson had, man, you could tell how much he was loved. You know what I mean? Ricky
Oh,
was he was genuinely, I mean,
he was a special person, and a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, here's a guy. Here's a guy that he could dominate a game single-handedly, right? And
without getting a hit. You know what I mean? And like I
without
said,
getting a hit.
yeah, without
He
getting
could
a
hit the
hit.
ball. He could hit a ball as far as we hit it. He was way faster. He caused so much havoc. Pitchers get nervous about things, but
And he
you
had
know,
fun doing
at-
it, and he had fun.
yeah, and that's exactly what I was just going to say because he never came back to the dugout frustrated. He never came back. He was always real positive, and I really handed it to the San Diego Padre fans because I never heard them ever boo him one time playing there. And he wasn't stealing bases as much, but what a great guy, what a great teammate.
Even after it was all over, even when he was still collecting accolades, getting his flowers, he loved the game of baseball, man. He played because he loved
That's
baseball.
exactly.
You,
That's
you, you know,
exactly. He didn't run off to go break more records. He just wanted to continue to play,
play
and
baseball.
I
He had
thought
fun
that was
playing baseball. Yes, and I
he
think
loved playing baseball. Yeah.
I think in our era, you know, as much as it was a job, we really appreciated, you know, the major leagues. We appreciated the clubhouse. We appreciated, the ushers, and or Brewster, you can attest to this. In Milwaukee, driving in, and you were there when I got called up. So the way the city received me, but just driving through the parking lot, and they're freaking tailgating 5 hours before and 5 hours after, and we would stop. We'd stop after the game and you know have a beer, and I don't eat brats, but if they had a sausage or something, I might get a sausage, but you know, but
Right.
but we had a relationship, and I just think now, and who am I to say, but it's just so corporate now. That
Mm.
human factor, that touch. Whether it's Mr. Seelig or Mr. Morse or whoever it
Larry
was,
Dalton.
yeah, they had a relationship. It's just not about you, but your family, your kids, your mother. And now it's just all business. You know what I mean? And I guess like I said, I'm glad I played when I played because
Yeah.
like
And I think a lot of people say that. We
it,
we had, we played in a great time.
the personal
Um,
relationships, we still have, myself, I just was with Paulie, Robin, Gumby, whether it's BJ or Chef, whoever it is, whether it's Johnny Adams, the trainer, or Tony,
I
Miggs,
was gonna.
yeah, or Phil, you know what I mean? Or you, another guy
Yeah.
that was like my adopted dad. It's special, and it's something you can't get back because the friendships and the lifelong relationships, people don't realize how important that is that we develop. We're with our teammates
And
more than we are with our families. You know what I mean? So that
you're
becomes
exactly
our
right.
family. So
You're
uh,
exactly right. And
Ricky will be
it,
missed because, like I said, growing up watching him, and idolizing him because, like I said, he just didn't play defense. He just didn't steal bases. He did everything you could on a baseball field, and whether it was Eric Davis, Tim Raines, whoever, Dave Parker. I mean, all of us, Dan Gladden, like you said, Puck, everybody ran. Everybody got on. Everyone did. You just didn't hit. You tried to
Yeah.
hit, field, throw, and run.
Right.
You know what I mean? The name of
Well,
the
that's
game
what
was
we always
score
tried to
runs,
do,
right?
right? We always tried to
Yeah.
take pride that, and especially for me, because there was going to be days or weeks where I wasn't hitting. So I had to be on my best out in right field, or occasionally if I was playing first base. But my time, you talk about, you played in Tampa, you played in Cincinnati, San Diego, Colorado. I did the same thing. I was in San Diego, played for Boston, which I loved. I absolutely loved my time there. But there was something special about Milwaukee, and there will
Well,
always be something special about Milwaukee.
and
It's just kind of like it gave us both our real start, right?
no, yeah, for sure. And I think Rooster, I think, like I said, you know, the people that didn't know Bud Selig or whatever could say whatever they wanted, but if you know him and you play for him, you know, he really did care about you. You know what I mean? And he made you feel special. And I can just speak from my own experiences. But
Sure.
I was blessed also to have, not just you, Robin, and Paulie and Gad. I had Tiny, Mike Felder, I had Glenn Braggs, and I
We had a
think,
great chemistry. It was so fun for the whole time we played, right?
oh
I
yeah, it
mean,
was. Chris Bosio from my hometown. It's
yep.
yeah, it was. But also, I was drafted there. So the guys that even were up there before me, they were drafted there. So we all came up together, whether they were a couple years ahead of me, a couple drafts ahead of me. Me and Shep and Hambone, we all came in the same draft. It's rest in peace, Hambone. But it's
Yes, exactly.
I
Knowing you could probably still play.
no, 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 no. Everything hurts. I got glasses on. Hey, hey, Rooster. I don't know if you can attest to this, but when you wake up, I mean, you go to
Oh,
bed, you feel fine, and you wake up, and you're like, "How did I hurt? Myself asleep." You know what I mean?
right.
So,
I'm in a jacuzzi every single day or every single night because I've had three major back surgeries. I have metal rods in my back. I've had three wrist surgeries, four knee surgeries, but I feel great. Knock on wood. Couple things here and there, but you know, um, to be able to do the things that we do and be able to still enjoy our grandkids. You were at the batting cages today, and just the things that we like to do and the things that we still enjoy. We're able to do that, and a lot of our friends aren't. You know,
yeah, yeah. You know what? The big guy upstairs has allowed us to still function. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
because so many other athletes, people don't understand. They say they get paid so much money and do all this. They don't understand the toll that it takes on your body and what you have to live with the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
right,
Yes, it
right.
is a lot of money, and it's easy to say that, but if you can't, I have friends and from the NFL that my golf group and my buddies and all that. They, I mean, the stuff that they've been through. There's not enough money that can put a price on your body. You know what I mean? I just
Right.
had, two reverse shoulder replacements in the last
Did you really?
year. Yeah, reverse. So I have no rotator cuff. You know what I mean? So the pain is gone. You know what I mean as far as that. But you know, it's it's what we sign up for. But also at the same time, when people say they make too much money, there's just no such thing as too much money because I tell you what, if they couldn't afford to pay it, they wouldn't pay it. One, two, the TV contracts or
Yeah.
ginormous right now. And we're all in the entertainment business to hopefully make people feel better and give them something to cling on to. Hey, you played in Boston, those Yankee Boston rivalries and stuff. I mean, those people, I mean, it gives people something to be attached to,
Right.
and, like I said, for you, Robin, Paulie, Tiny, Moo Moo, I mean, everybody that's still be in my life, and Chef's like, my brother's still in my life. And that's not to count, like Mark Swaney and the text chain that we have in San Diego with 28 guys still from that 98 team on that, whether it's front office, our owner, Mr. Morris Bochy. So these are the things I cherish. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
guys that are sitting by themselves, man, because they were just they didn't get the importance of team, locker room or camaraderie. Just to
When you
be part of a
when
group.
you talk right, sorry. But when you talk about camaraderie, and I don't think either one of us played on a team where you didn't have great camaraderie, but there's just you brought up a name that just resonated with me right at the beginning of this when you said the two words Johnny Adams. And how much how much did we enjoy him for the 7 or 8 years, or Tony Miliaccio, or like we had Tony's back room where we used to watch. We'd go after games and we'd sit in that back room. Remember the dungeon, the
Yeah, yeah.
big TV. Then you
AKA
know,
our video room. Remember there was no video back
yeah.
then?
And early in the days, games would be over, and it was kind of like you didn't even leave the ballpark till you know 2 3 hours later on
We
certain
could we
days.
could we could we could I tell you what, me and Shep, we got you guys all the beer you wanted. We were not leaving there until you seen Robin, Paulie, Dave Parker, who finally got his flowers. I mean, that me and Shep go visit him all the time. Uh, until Willie Randolph, and then, like I said, I was so blessed to play with a lot of good guys that it was amazing that all the baseball I learned after the game was over. Because we talked
Oh
about
yeah.
we talked about what went on during the game, or me and Shep just sitting there listening to what the big boys were talking about, so we can be a sponge and get it. You know what I mean?
And
Uh,
you think about how cool it was just to have. We had two Hall of Famers on our team. I mean, those were our two leaders, Paulie and Robin. If you remember this story, this was hilarious, and this is the kind of thing that happened during this time or in this locker room, or you know we were playing. They came to me and they announced, okay, we're going to have a Rob Deere poster day, and I'm kind of like, you know, there's a lot of people here that probably deserve a poster more than me,
hey
So
Rooster, you played hard, man, and you got
yeah,
after it.
thanks. But
You,
the thing
you,
was is when that poster day happened, I was just like Frank Viola. I didn't mind facing him. He I hit some homers off him. He gave me some tough days, but um, I walked up there my first at bat. Beautiful day in County Stadium, and there's 58,000 people there, and you can hear him
about
hitting them.
48 degrees outside.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember they're hitting the posters on the seats, and I walked up there, and the whole time, all day, I was just like, I don't want 4 hits. I want to try and hit 4 balls to Wauwatosa, you know, like,
Right.
and my first at bat, I remember when going up there, and
You should
I
have just
saw
stuck with
probably seven.
Sheboygan. You should have just stuck with
Yeah,
Sheboygan instead of Wauwatosa.
Shaboy, yeah. But I saw like 8 or 10 pitches, and I was like, I couldn't believe I couldn't hit him. I kept fouling him off, and all of a sudden, before I knew it, I punched out. I was walking back to the dugout. Okay, well, he'll get me once, but I saw the ball too good. I know something's going to happen. Well, third, fourth, I had 4 at bats, and on my poster day, I struck out 4 times.
I remember
And
that. I remember going. I
yeah,
remember I remember what happened in the locker room.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Johnny,
and it
our good
starts with
friend
that.
Johnny Adams.
Starts with that name, right?
Yeah, Johnny
So
Adams.
I'm sitting on the bench. It's a day game. Everybody's inside. I think we lost. It just wasn't a good day. And plus, I was 0 for 4 on my poster day with 4 strikeouts. And so I go walking up the stairs. I'm walking up remember the long ramp going into the clubhouse,
Yep.
going in there. And back where I was back in a corner. Gumby was next to me. Jim Gantner. Robin was in that corner.
I was on the
I
other
think
corner.
Brad.
I was next to Robin. I was right next to Robin.
Yeah, but I think Vaughn. I mean, I think Braggsy was down there with us. But
He was.
anyway,
He was.
so I walked in. I walked into the clubhouse. I was probably the last one in there, just kind of like feeling sorry for myself. Walking in, and I was like, well, so we always take our uniforms off, then we go hit the spread and have a beer or whatever it is. I decided took my uniform off and I'm in his shorts and I kind of go back to this back room that was back by Johnny Adams' room where his trainer was. He was our trainer. And I walked back there to go to the restroom and I looked down as I opened the door on the bathroom. And I looked down and I see, well, why is my poster in? Wait a minute. My poster's on the ground here and it's taped on the top and on the sides. Oh, wait, what is that? And then I look and there's a big deuce on my face of my poster on poster day. So
Johnny Adams said you had that type of day. He was just trying to loosen you up a little bit.
that's exactly, and soon as I saw it, I died laughing, and then I could hear everybody else in the clubhouse in the back room cracking up. So like those are times, you know, those are times that are like it's hard to explain how the camaraderie and how together we were and just a lot of stories, a lot of fun things. Having Uke there every day, you know,
People don't
Bob
understand. Yeah,
Euchers.
I mean, still going back and getting a chance to talk to you, can see you, and I mean,
Remember
you talk
going
about.
out in his boat. He had a big, huge
Oh yeah,
salmon
with Lake
boat.
Michigan, we going salmon fishing and all that. Yeah, yes,
Remember? And
yeah.
he would get us. There'd be 10 of us in the boat, and he'd be going across the in
Michigan Lake,
Milwaukee,
Lake
Lake
Michigan.
Michigan. Yeah, and just flying over waves. And, oh, it's just we used to have so much fun, and just I look back at my times in Milwaukee, and it was really really special time.
I got another rooster story though. I got another one. I remember this.
Uh-oh.
No, it was before all of us were married and all that stuff. But it was towards the last game of the season. We're in Baltimore, and
Mm.
we're in Baltimore, and it was the last game of the season because I think I had to have surgery the next day, and then we're all like 7:30. Robin was
Yeah.
mixed in there, and somehow the establishment that we were at, they, like I said, it was a team. So all of us were walking back to the hotel, and somehow you look down and your arms cut open from like this side, from this side to this side, and you look at Robin, and I was on the other side of you, and you go, I think I should go to the hospital. And when you look down, we could see your veins, your arteries, and everything that are in your arm. How many staples did you get that night? How many staples did you?
That was like 26. I think I got like 26 staples in the
Staples.
side of
Yeah,
my
I remember.
arm because we all got that little altercation because someone tried to break up our team party, right?
Yeah, it was our team
And
party. Yes, 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 yes. It was
yeah,
our team party.
and so Robin was with me and went to the hospital. I went to the hospital like at 4 o'clock in the morning, and or like I got done out of the hospital with him. I was with Robin, and we walked out of the hospital, and there were like 3 TV cameras walking through the parking lot. Someone reported that we got in a fight, and
I don't
so I
think it was
came
a fight.
walking out.
I think you bumped into something. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah, yeah, I think it was.
I
I
think you
bumped
bumped.
into something.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It was a 2x4
but
with a freaking nail in it.
yes, exactly. That's what it felt like. I looked down and all my flesh is hanging out of my arm, but it makes it fun to have podcasts, you know? It makes it fun
It
to be able
does.
to share.
Yeah, be able to share your stories and your times. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, man,
I want
I
to
was.
ask you something on a I want to ask you something on a personal note. Um, what is it like to hit 50 homers in a season?
I tell
That's
you what,
pretty
Rooster.
cool, Bonnie.
Yeah, you know what, Rooster, it was. It's crazy, and I feel like I've said this story over and over. I had a month and a half to hit number 50. A month and a half, and I was
Wow,
squaring balls up. They just weren't getting in the air, right? I was probably trying a little bit too hard, or whatever the case may be. But because at the time, that was the year Big Mac and Sammy were doing their thing. I was leading. I was neck and neck. I went a month and a half, and so we clinched by like 30 games. Uh, we're in Arizona for the last game of the year. Last game of the year,
yeah.
Last at bat, man on second. First Boach comes to me. He goes, "Hey, you know, we have nothing to prove. You want to, sit this one out and do whatever." I said, but he came back to me like at in the seventh inning. He said, "Hey, we got the playoffs coming. Get somebody else out there." I said, "Boach, you know what? I'd rather if you would have started somebody else and allow me to be out there to run off with my team because we haven't celebrated yet, and we were up 30
Yeah.
games. So we had unfinished business. So I wanted to run off the field with my team to celebrate, right? So
Right.
we're in the ninth inning. We're in the ninth inning. We're losing by a run, and it's the top of the ninth. I'm 0-2, but before that, going up to that at bat, I go down in the tunnel, and I go, "Serious, this is what I said. You stupid, you had a good year. 49 is not bad. Who cares? You know what? Just
Yeah.
dumbass, you had a good year." That's what I said to myself.
Right.
I mean, because we had to get in our own head or do whatever. So now I'm 0-2. All of a sudden,
I
0-2.
always love when that happens.
He hung me a slider, and it's Aaron Small, and I hit it, and I was like, "Oh, get high enough," because I know I hit it hard enough. But I was like, "Get
Right.
high enough," and I almost killed Davy Lopes at first base because this is a month and a half worth
I
of
thought,
I have bad shoulders, so it wasn't. We went from down here. You know what I mean? I was like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I but I had a month and a half worth of pent up frustration. That to try to get this one home at that pace. I'm getting one every 11 bats. I'm hitting a home run. All of a sudden, get to 49. It takes a month and a half. So celebration with Davey. I get the third. Flannery, one of my favorite people in the whole world. Tim Flannery,
Me too.
he's the best. He is the best. Third base, I mean, that's my guy. He was so happy. And I turned to go across home plate. And this game means nothing to us, but, you know, of course, to finish on a positive note. But I look up and my whole team plus Boach and everybody's out there like the Little League World Series at home plate. You know what I mean? So
No.
they're so they're grabbing me right then, and see, it goes back to what you were talking about, camaraderie, the closeness. The guys, they wanted it probably as much or more than I did. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so they were all out there. It was like I said, my man Merv Redmond, who we just lost a couple weeks ago. All the cage work, all the hard work between him and Tony. Rooster, I'll tell you something. I had 8 years in the big leagues. I think 3 All-Star teams or 4 at that time before I got traded. And I thought I knew how to hit and play baseball a little bit, but I was always trying to evolve and learn, right? I got with Merv and Tony, and it, it changed me. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to the
No,
previous.
I know exactly. Sometimes you'll get to it. Sometimes it might be a ballpark that's different. It might be who's hitting behind you. It might be something that a hitting coach gives you. And it's like we always think. I mean, I remember times where you think you've got it all dialed in, and all of a sudden, man, you can get lost.
But,
And hitting is
it's just like anything, Bristol. Like you said, I remember being 0 for 2 weeks before, man. Like I said, anywhere you go, you got the Bat Boys, who I loved our Bat Boys. That's just an example. But you got you have the waiter, you have the the bus boy, you have the bagger, all telling you how to hit. Man, you need to do this, or my dad said you need to do that. You know what I mean? The,
Hey, I
it's
used to listen to some of them. The parking lot attendant would stop me out in the parking lot. Was a walk. Remember, we'd park outside. I
yeah.
was like, "What do you got for me today?" And he was like, "Well, it looks like you're doing this." I'd say, I'd be walking back into the clubhouse, going, "He might be right. I'd probably try that today." It's like when you're scuffling or when things aren't going, man. It's like you'll listen to anybody, right?
Yeah, you will, because it's just like anything else in life, man. When when your confidence is down, and there's some people, like I said, when you talk about Dave Parker and Shep and Robin and Paul, everyone goes through tough times, but as far as confidence, I think that's something I learned, but I always had because the good thing about baseball is if they get you today, somebody has to pay tomorrow, right? And if they
Oh
don't pay
yeah,
tomorrow, they don't pay tomorrow, they pay the next day. And
yeah.
I learned this game goes in cycles, but you just try to be as consistent as you can and figure out a way to, like you said, if you're not a hitman, you can't let a ball fall. You got to freaking throw a guy out. You got to go first to third, take your walk, score runs. You got to find a way to help your team. And to highlight on what you said about the camaraderie again with Merv and all my good hitting instructors and coaches and managers, the communication was unbelievable because it was more than just a coach and it was more than just a hitting instructor. I mean, you got to be a psychologist, man. You have to figure out what makes
Right.
individuals tick, right? Because what works for Rooster might not work for Greg Vaughn and vice versa.
Cammy, Caminetti, and Merv and we'd be on the road sometimes, and you would never think this, but Cammy was a gear guy like me. He was like motorcycles and cars, and Merv also did. So like there were times where we'd be on the road, and one would call the other one or whatever, and we'd be in a mall at a car show looking at cars during the season. It's like he was a really super good guy, and I loved him, and he worked so much to help me try to figure out something while I was in San Diego. And,
But
he
he
knew that
cared, though. You know what I mean?
Cammy and
He
I were,
cared.
he
And you
cared. And
it's funny because, like I said, our era again, it wasn't just tied up in a bunch of notebooks and numbers and stats. It was like, it was this works for Rooster. I got to get him back to doing this, or I might just need to tell Rooster don't hit today. Just have a day off, rest your mind. You know,
yeah,
they would they knew how to get us going. I mean, Dave Henderson, another one, rest in peace. Wait gone way too early. I remember going to Seattle one time, and I can't remember if I was with. It could have been towards the end with Tampa and stuff. And I seen Hindu. I did a camp with him because he did a lot of stuff in that Seattle area. The day
right.
when we first got in, I think we had an off day. And the next day at the ballpark, he said, "Hey man, you were smiling yesterday." He goes, "What's wrong with you? The game ain't even started yet." I was like, "Hindu man, shoot, I've been scuffing him." He says, "Hey man, you done you done took a lot of ass. Sometimes you got to give a little ass to get more ass. So just
Right.
keep that in mind. You know what I mean? Keep
Right.
keep that in mind, and you know we're too blessed and too too mentally tough. I mean, mentally strong to let this change our mood. You know what I mean? And I tried to separate. And I think that's why I came out of the clubhouse, 2 3 hours after the game because I had to leave all that stuff there to go home to 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 be the best dad, brother, son, whatever it
Absolutely.
is to be.
I got to tell you another quick story, because this was, and I probably told you about this back when we were playing, but we had a it was a family day at County Stadium in Milwaukee, and it was a day game, and we were going to have a softball game with the dads, right? So all the kids, and I had Brenna, my oldest, and I was supposed to be down on the field, and they said, well, you have like 20 minutes to get down there because all the parents are down there and the whole thing. So I'm walking through one of the tunnels to go down there, and Robin, just out of the blue, he had Reggie meet him over by remember where the steps would go down in the locker room? He was back behind one of those corners, and I was getting ready to go down to go see my daughter to do that. And Robin grabs my shirt like he used to always do. They'd be like, "Come here." And I walked around and looked around a corner, and there's Reggie standing right there. I'm like, why is he standing here? He's the enemy. We were playing the Yankees or the Angels, I don't remember. And Robin said to me, he says, don't repeat this, but Reggie wants to say something to you of importance. And I said, okay. And I had talked to Reggie before, and I had a car that he had a car, and We used to talk about car stuff a lot, but anyway, long story short, after after Robin kind of said Reggie wants to talk to you about a couple things. He said Reggie said, you know, we are home run guys. We're going to swing and miss. And he says from now on for the rest of your career, when you go out to take batting practice, I want you to think about hitting every ball off of the wall. Don't hit it over the wall, hit it off of the wall. So that made a whole different perspective for me. And, you know, as you talk about certain things, you know, the harder you try, the worse it gets. Hitting, you have to try easier. It's all about timing
And
and
we're
rhythm. And
crazy accurate. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I remember
right.
saying it. You're trying too hard. Try easier.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds easy, but
Yeah.
and that's why I tell parents and I tell kids. I mean, like I said, I was at the cage today, and these guys, they have launch angle and all this other stuff. We're not even going in there, dude. If you pop up to the, if you pop up in the neck, the launch angle and all that was not very good. You know what I
Right.
mean? And you go back and you look at Junior, King Griffey Jr., even though people think he swings up, said, man, you can't chop a tree down swinging up. You know what I mean? You have to get on top of the ball and develop backspin. And, you know, they're for me, I think the good teams do a better job than the bad teams at implementing the numbers, but they also have baseball guys around to help. You know what I mean? So the
Right.
number you have the numbers, but also baseball guys know what it's like to not get a hit in the month. And a guy, an analytic guy that just sits in there, looks stares at a computer. There's no human element. He's just punching in data, saying that everyone needs to. These are the best players in the world, and this is what you have to do. And I'm like, everybody can't be the best player in the world. That's what's called the Hall of Fame. So
Right.
give me my numbers, and give me someone that can help me, you know, be the best version of me. You know what I mean? You can give me numbers, but if you don't tell me how to get there, and you don't have
Yeah.
you don't have anybody around me that's done it or done it at this magnitude or level, and there's a lot of good coaches. Don't get me wrong, that have never played, but for the majority, like when we were player development and all this, it was all ex players. You know what I mean? That for the most part, front office guys, there were some that never played or played a ball or whatever it was, but for the most part, they knew how tough it was. Now I think instead of having those guys around because for some reason they feel threatened, you know what I mean? They don't want they want to be the big dog or have the last say, which front office
Sure.
always does, or player development always does.
It kind of goes into something that I want to cover eventually on my podcast is how what's taught to kids and what's when you start seeing things on the internet, and there's a lot of people on the internet that give good information as far as hitting wise, but there's some stuff I've seen on the internet um, that people have to be cautious about who's teaching your son or daughter how to play baseball, because a lot of these people, they'll read a book and then they become a hitting coach, and there's a lot of things to it. I always tell people if one of these people were going to teach my daughters how to ride a horse, then you better have ridden a horse before, right? So,
Makes sense. Makes sense, right?
well, all this stuff that's being taught, and people are responsible for that, and
But
you got to be
but to
careful
the
when you're
take
talking about what.
and and let let the kids fail. Let the kids figure out how to get the ball to the bat. Let them swing and miss without somebody analyzing or critiquing every single swing they take. Let them at 8 go out and have fun. Don't Everything has to be structured
Right.
now. Everything is structured. And it's like I said, man, there's a lot of people, you get a gang of information because of, social media and the internet and all that stuff. Some good, some bad, but at the same time, these guys are bigger, stronger, faster than we ever were. I mean, they don't look big. These guys are big. They're all like you, Rooster. You know what I mean? These
Yeah.
guys are. and but they don't steal bases. They don't know how to move a runner over. They don't bunt. They don't so the basic fundamentals seem to be lost. You know what I mean? The name of the game is score runs. How do you manufacture a
Well,
run?
right.
You know what I
ABC
mean?
baseball. Get them on, get them over, and get them in, right? But there's there's so much today about home runs and how many home runs of this, and kids are trying to hit home runs, and people are teaching kids to lift the ball in the air,
You're right. That's just
right?
in life, though, Rooster. You know what I mean? Your point on. I spot on with that. I think you know they
Little league and
have
baseball isn't
they have these
it's
things.
to
They
have
have
fun.
computers. They have so many different avenues to do things. But I still think the ones that love it, they'll find a way. The ones that love it, you know, you get there's a difference between liking and loving something. You know what I mean? I can tell parents all the time. There's a difference in trying and competing. It doesn't take anything to try. Competing, you got to
Let me
sacrifice some
ask you
stuff.
exactly. Let me ask you a question honestly. Did you ever have a hitting coach in your life? I mean, did you ever have before we got signed? Did you ever go to any hitting lessons, or did you ever have a guy that taught you how to hit? I
No,
never did. I never went to lessons. I'd, I'd go to the batting cages with my buddies and we'd spend, $10 and everybody'd hit 8,000 times. But
no, not really. For me, it was trial
yeah,
and error, man. Like I said, we didn't have enough people for right field. Right field closed. We didn't. You can't. No second baseman. You can't hit it to second base or right field. We don't have enough
that would
players.
have been good for
And
me. I don't want it that way anyway.
you
But
know, or left field's closed if it was a lefty or something. It was just you find out. But I was blessed because coming from Sacramento, man, we have a ton of former big leaguers before me, a lot during my time, and we all just bonded and worked and loved on one another. And they were, like I said, once again, it goes back from Dusty Baker all the way to Steve Sachs, Dave Sachs, the Force brothers, uh, Larry Boa. I mean, and then you get us down to like myself, Derek Lee, Fernando Vigna, Lavelle Freeman. I mean, Deion James,
wow.
sweet baby. You know what I mean? RJ, Gino Petrol. I mean, just so many that when you went in the cage and you hit with them, and you you had to make adjustments to to, to not get ate alive in there. You know what I mean? They were,
Yeah.
and it was cold outside. We didn't have all these temperature control cages and all that other stuff. But once again, that was mental toughness too. You know what I mean? We're learning from guys that
I
were
always,
doing it.
right. I always tell kids, I always tell kids that hitting is a process. Each level, you'll start to see that things get a little bit easier, or things you have to figure out. You have to find a way to be able to catch up with a fastball. So as hitters, as like I remember doing a lot of things on my own as a kid. I used to tie a fishing line with a ping pong ball to the top of the ceiling and just do something in the garage. Or I'd always hit off the tee, and my dad would get mad because all the wood off the front garage was all peeling off because I always knocked the ball. He'd make me go out
Yeah,
there and
you
hammer
know
him.
what
But
though, but
you know,
too, it was easy. I didn't mean to cut you off, Rooster, but for me, it'd be like,
no,
hey, I'm watching Rod Carew. So I'll go outside. Next time we play a strikeout, I'm Rod Carew for this at bat. Next at bat, I'm Mike Easler. Next at bat, I'm some. These kids don't try anything now. They get stuck and they want to be one way for the rest of their life and don't want to try anything. Hey, if I didn't see the ball in
yeah,
the first pitch out of Fenway or somewhere, hey man, I'm opening up. I'm not waiting for four at bats to open up. You know what I mean? Yeah, because
no, yeah.
and I think that's the difference in competing. You know what I mean? You have to do. I mean, if your way's not working and you're not seeing it, how are you going to hit it? So I have to open up. I have to do something
Well,
different to give me a better chance.
right, and you have to make adjustments. And not to get into the whole big hitting thing now, but we were always making adjustments. When you're a hitter and you're in the big leagues, and a hitter in college, a hitter in high school, you have to make adjustments. You have to be willing to understand what's happening and what the pitcher's doing and take notes. And you know, hitting is not easy, but I tell you what, it's a lot of fun if it works out and you get an opportunity to play at the level we did,
Yeah,
because
it is a lot of
it's
fun. But you know what?
yeah, and
And I was telling my grandson and my niece today. I enjoyed the journey, not just all the success. I enjoyed the grind of working
Good
to
point.
the journey was just as fulfilling as everything that came with home runs or driving in 100 runs or, the journey, the times of out there on the field when it's cold in the wintertime practicing, sawed off, it's wet outside, and you know, you know, that's part of the journey, man. That's who defines you. That's who makes you what you are. And I see a lot of times now that, the young people, they just want the result. They don't care anything about the journey. The journey is like
The
I said,
journey's that's the fun
if
part.
you're if you're hitting baseballs and you're practicing and you're work, how can you pout, mope, or do anything in this cage? You know what I mean? I don't get it, man. If that's not going to help you at all. Now, if you're hitting
Right.
every ball on the top of the net, definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting something different. So this is no good. So what do I have to do? Get on top of the baseball. Do something different. You know what I mean? Use your head, but they don't want to be
Yes.
told that. They don't want to be told that they just think their way is going to keep working, so they don't try stuff. And like I said, Brewster, I was blessed to play. Like I said, in the era I did with you guys, and whether it was Joe Carter or David Winfield or Big Daddy,
Oh,
and how close me and Big Daddy were,
Ricky,
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 Parkway, you know, uh, you know,
Parkway, one of my favorites.
Tiny, freaking
How bad?
Momo, Willie,
Remember when we were on the plane? How about when we played Boo-Ray in the plane?
yeah, and get
And
pinched,
Parkway, he was notorious. Like he'd come up
pinched.
and just out of the blue, his big knuckles, he'd grab you in the back of my arm. And I don't think he ever did it to anybody else but me, but he used to do it to me. And all summer long, I had to have like purple dots on my arms
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Parkway.
he was the funniest human being ever too. So, like I said, our times are good now.
Oh,
Just being a grandfather, and the kids are doing well. Corey's a fireman. Janae's still riding and competing, in dressage, and little Greg's doing his
that's
thing.
so
Just got his
good.
master. He got his masters, and uh, working for a state, but wants to get into the baseball.
I want to tell you a quick story because you mentioned grandkids. I have four grandkids now, three three grandsons, and my granddaughter Ellis. Um, but my oldest, Brenna, you probably remember her at the ballpark when we were kids
Yep.
or when we were in Milwaukee. But Brenna just had her first. They just had their first son, and I was overjoyed. One of the greatest tributes that ever happened to me, honestly. But I kept asking her. I was like, well, "What are you going to name him? What are you going to name him?" And she kept saying, "Well," and she had three or four names. And she called me the next day and she goes, "Dad, we've come up with a name and we want to let you know." And I said, "Well, I can't wait to hear." She says, "We're going to name him Robbie Reed," which is deer backwards, and then their last name. So they named him after me, and that was like one of the most touching things that ever happened. And like I just I was overjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
So
testament. Like I said, Rooster, man, we're all just human, and we're all, like I said, man, they don't come any better than you. You know what I mean? They
no,
don't come any better than you. Like I said, I was blessed
they
to,
don't come any better than you.
but
But
during our time, there's more people like us than that 1% of assholes. You know what I mean? So, I was blessed, whether it was Don Mattingly, trying to pick his brain, whether it was George Brett, whether it was Kirby Puckett, Lee May, Eddie Murray, Chili David, whoever it was, you know,
yes,
99% of the guys were just like us. You know what I mean? They just get all fashioned, human beings, you know what I mean? With a heart, and that play the
yeah.
sport, and like I was saying, the kids are good, man. I'm blessed. I have 23 wines. My Pinot just won gold, best new wine, best of show. 23
I
wines.
wanted to ask you about that because yeah, because I keep seeing that on the internet and stuff about your winery. That's so great.
You got 23
Congratulations.
wines. I'm proud to be with a fantastic winemaker. Brett Ellers. Who he can do it, man. And then but he allows me to have a say or go on the lap, and because I make or I present stuff like I like to drink, right? So, it might not be for everyone, and I'm okay with that. But to me, it's more so for the
Sure.
cause, to try to find a cure for diabetes. You know what I mean? So the proceeds from 23 Wines go back to JDRF to try to find a cure for diabetes, and along with my foundation, Bonds Valley, Foundation, from Vaughn's Valley, that being in Milwaukee, where they had the left
I
field.
gotta, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to say something about that. So yesterday or the day before, I was watching some videos, and they showed a home run that I hit, and as soon as I hit it, or as soon as I was watching it as it went over the fence, I saw Vaughn's Valley, and so I wanted to bring it up because that was like you had Vaughn's Valley and I had the Deer Crossing, and it was like they'd always put them up in the left center in County Stadium, and I saw that and I was just like that was really cool. That's just another thing that made it so much fun to play in Milwaukee, you know.
Yeah, but like I said, the
But
relationships with the fans, I knew their names. I knew people that I seen every single day. And, you got people like Robin Yao, Paul Motter, yourself, and for me to be a young kid and them already and the city already embracing me and giving me like my own section in left field, Vaughn's Valley, that was pretty
right,
special. Yeah, hey,
uh,
Rooster, every time I see you,
so
it's a
many
fun.
memories, so many memories. But I wanna do this again.
I want to get you on my podcast too, Life After Sports 23. My village is so big, man. There's been a lot of people that have been in my life that have helped me get to where I'm at now and, helped me through all the tough times, the good times, the bad times. But, I always try to remember, to give thanks for everything that has happened in my life and to just wake up today to be thankful for that, you know, it puts things in perspective. So
Doesn't it?
with
Yeah.
that being said, man, anytime you need me, call me, man. I got
Hey,
you.
I love you, man, and I truly respect everything that you do, and you've been a great friend over the years. We've had so many fun times and fantasy camps, and it just I consider you a lifelong friend, Vonnie, and I appreciate our friendship, and we'll get together soon.
All right, Rooster. Hey, stay safe. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all your
Happy New
viewers.
Year.